Someone once said to me that car dealers are like cockroaches. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, at the end of the world, the only thing left standing will be a cockroach and a car dealer.
Resilient. Resilient.
Actually, what you want to do is you have 80% set on your core areas, and then 20% is what I call playtime, where you trial things. If you were to spend £20,000 of your hard-earned money, how do you like to be treated?
Like royalty?
Like absolute royalty.
What areas are you working for other dealers at the moment?
My recommendation...
all we do is try not to die. That makes any sense.
The first 2 months I didn't pay myself at all.
Working every hour you're awake.
Phone just does not ring.
I looked so terrible because I was like working in the US constantly.
And then there's me sitting in my underpants at home trying to sell a few cars.
Wasted all of my money on cars.
£7.5 billion worth of transactions through that platform.
But AutoTrader didn't seem to care.
It makes them more money though, that's what matters.
It's 3 years ago. What do you want from a used car?
He was the grumpiest man I've ever met in my life.
I'll come up north and we'll have a few Negronis.
Go on! What a cracker!
Hello everyone, welcome back to DealerPod, the UK's #1 motor trade podcast. This week, as always, I'm your host Stephen Douglas alongside Scott Sibley and Jamie Cable. This week's show is proudly sponsored by our trade-to-trade platform Dealerway. Now, if you haven't joined up, please do so. It's free to do so, and you can list your part exchanges and trade cars for free to over 3,000 vetted trade buyers. And if you're short of stock, there's plenty of cars being listed by both independent dealers and main agents. Now, before we get started, just make sure that you smash that like button, you hit subscribe, and you turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And also, if you could do us a huge favour, because Jamie's doing work too and jumping on all these pods from now on as our third host. If you could just go to the Car Lateral YouTube channel, Car Lateral, CARLATEREL, Jamie, is that right?
ERAL.
That's the one, Car Lateral YouTube
Lateral.
channel. And make sure that you like and subscribe to Jamie's channel as well, because it's fantastic. So that would be great. Right, let's get straight into it. This is This Week in the Motor Trade.
This Week in the Motor Trade, brought to you by Dealerway.
This week in the motor trade, lads. How are we getting on? What's happening? What's the crack?
Yeah, so I think I feel like it's fell off. Fell off massively, fell off. The last 7 days, I'm going to say it again, fell off. I'm not one for excuses. I feel like the war thing's happening. So you notice I'm in my combat fatigues today. I'm in the war room. I'm going to try and get involved. I'm going to try and get the conflict finished. And then hopefully we can get back to having a real strong finish to the year, because the last 7 days feel like, I don't know, lack of confidence. Maybe I'm making it up. You guys might be smashing it, but not been the best. Had a bit of fun on YouTube, but in terms of dealing, it's not really happened this last 7 days. So hopefully you guys are faring a bit better.
What is not really happening for car key mean though? Like realistically, numbers wise,
selling.
Yeah, no, but
ones and twos a day,
right? Which
and
ones and twos a day for most garages quite decent, but obviously for someone your size, it's not, is it?
Yeah, that's it. It feels inquiries are significantly down. The cockers have started coming out. It always happens, when it goes a bit slow, and then the people pulling out of deals for ridiculous reasons. But I'm not panicking. I'm not a panicker. I can normally stand it for 2, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, when it gets to a week. So again, we are at 2:45. We're not turned a wheel yet today. We did one yesterday, weekend coming up. There's a lot going out. The problem is I buy based on, a normal level of volume.
Doing 3, 4 a day. Yeah, 5 a day.
Next week, I've got cars I've committed to paying for. I think I bought one off you as well.
You have, yeah. I'm starting to get a bit worried now.
No, that'll be cool. But, but I'm sure we're going to have a big weekend. And again, the following weekend, I'm going to start a sale event. So I have looked at my stock. There's a lot of unphotographed cars. So I'm going on a rampage on photographing now. The prices are a bit toppy. I know they are, but I'm just going to wait. I'm going to give us a week and a half. Well, again, it's a week on Monday we start a sale, and then I'm going to drop everything. I'm just going to go on a mad rampage, and hopefully we're going to sell 70 cars in 7 days.
Right. Be canny on that mind.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. But anyway.
What about Redgate, Scott?
We had a very, very busy last month. Really, really good. Very happy with that result. And then we started off strong this week. I think we're on about 30, and it's the 6, which was really good. So the deals are coming in. So we haven't seen a drop off yet. A little bit this week, maybe slight, but I don't know if it's because of the news and the doom and gloom and the war and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's going to be putting much effect on it, or people in the northeast aren't really bothered. I don't know.
Yeah,
the fuel hasn't really moved. There's a couple of areas where they've put the fuel up at the fuel stations, I noticed, but then most of them where we are, there's none gone up.
I heard a couple of people mention it, or people were rushing out to the fuel stations. I've not actually seen it with my own 2 eyes yet. Like, I've never bothered by it. No.
Yeah, a couple of petrol stations have been shut near us. Well, they've closed the forecourts because they've run out of fuel.
Really? Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Costco, there was a big queue right the way around the Costco when it was all announced. But I think they just seem to, as soon as you mention something like that, they seem to panic buy.
Yeah.
As if it's going to run.
Well, it was like the toilet rolls in COVID, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're worried it's going to go up 10p a litre, so they go and fill their car up and probably spend £5 driving to a petrol station to save £3 on next week's fuel.
This is what amazes me about Costco's fuel station. Like, obviously, it costs. I don't know what it's like down the country, but the Costco next to the Metro Centre in Gateshead, the fuel there is apparently 10 or 11 pence cheaper per litre. And I see people on like a Friday night at Costco when I've been, and the queue is round the corner. I'm like, you're queuing to save 10 pence a litre. Like, yeah, how much are you actually saving? A tenner? You know, how much does it cost you to get there? Your time sitting there on a Friday night in the dark. I just couldn't be bothered. Me for
their engine's running as well.
While they're keeping themselves warm, and it's mad, isn't it? Absolutely crackers. But this week for us, we've it's a strange one. We've been busy in that, but what's strange, like, you know, we mentioned how many calls that you're doing like on a daily basis, and you know, 1s and 2s isn't enough, obviously, for you. I would say if we can do, you know, if you could take it like that, it never happens there, but if we could do 2 calls every single day, we would be a profitable business. But obviously it never works like that. Some days we'll do 3, some days we'll do none, etc., etc. But this past week, we've had a day when we've done nothing. The next day we've done 6. Then the next day we've done nothing. Then we've done 5. And I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, it's like total like polar opposites days. But actually, when you weigh it all out, we've been busy. It's been good.
It's a blip. Must be a blip for us. But I would give anything. I'd give my left testicle for a 6 car day.
Yeah, really.
Seriously. Yeah. But we'll have one tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
You'll be one down.
But
does anyone want your left testicle? That's the question.
Update on the hunt for a pitch for a new forecourt. So I can't really see it too much because it's still a little bit up in the air. But I found a property, and I know that there's other people interested in this property who maybe watch this podcast. So I need to be a bit careful what I say. But it was basically, it's going into a sealed bids auction. I put my bid in. And apparently there's been a lot of bids already. And I'm sort of like twitchy bum time now because today is the day where I find out. And I still haven't found out if I've got it yet. And I'm humming and hawing how much I was going to put in, I just wanted to know, like, if the price was X, you know, well, I'll either make a decision, yes or no, I'll go for it. But like, I'm sort of second guessing myself. Should I put that much in? I don't really want to spend that much, but oh fucking hell, I think someone's going to spend that much. I need to spend that much, and it's hard. Like this sealed bids thing, it's really.
Did you speak to our friend about it?
I did, yes, and he gave us a little bit of advice.
Right.
But not really much. I wouldn't have, you know, sort of known myself, to be honest. But he was kind about it and nice about it. But he didn't really know anyone at the company who were trying to get like an inroad.
Backhand, isn't it?
Well, you know, exclusive. I actually took some pound notes with me in my pocket. I'll not disclose the amount, but it was a fair amount. And when I went to see this property, I was weighing up the person showing me round to see whether they would be
whether he'd take the 10 grand.
Whether he'd be adverse to sort of giving me some information. I didn't actually ask him because I didn't think he would be, so it was a bit of a waste of time, that. But case or what will be. I just need to wait now, and hopefully, fingers crossed that I get it. You know. But
do you think that perhaps you maybe should have bid more now? Are you kind of thinking I probably would be prepared to pay a bit more for it, or?
Thought about this, you know, and because I thought to myself, what if they come back and say, well, actually, you know, nobody bid enough. but you were the highest bidder. So if you'll go under that 10 or whatever it may be, would you have it?
Yeah.
I thought maybe I'll say yes. And then I thought to myself, well, why don't I just do that in the
Why didn't
first
you bid it
place?
in the first place?
But then you think, where does it end? So I just thought, right, that's what I want to pay. That's what I'll do. And I added a little bit extra, like you're doing like a car wow auction or a motorway auction. If you want to buy a car for $5,000, you'll put 5,009 or 5,063 or whatever. I've done that as well. So we'll see.
Or if it's me in the hall, another
You just keep going,
£1,000,
just
and
keep going.
and then 7, and then 8, and then 9, and you get caught up, don't you?
Yeah.
I did 2 sealed bids and I lost both.
Did you?
Not to spoil your
Well, I'm
day.
glad I never listened to any of your advice then.
Hey, I bid strong as well, and I
Did
still
you?
lost them. Yeah.
If you're on next week's episode, I'll either be on Suicide Watch, which is apt considering the podcast we done last week, or I'll be jumping for joy that we've finally managed to get somewhere. But we'll see.
Imagine if you say next week, well, you lost it, but you found out who it was, and it was that Scott Sibley ended up buying it.
you wouldn't be breathing.
I'd be switched off. I wouldn't be on the pod.
You wouldn't be on the pod, mate. You wouldn't
be switched off.
You wouldn't be on the planet. Attention DealerPod listeners, do you want a better, quicker, more profitable way of trading out of your part exchanges or overage stock? List your cars on Dealerway today and connect with over 3,000 vetted trade buyers actively looking for vehicles. No hidden fees, no hassle. Start your own custom auctions from your desk or the palm of your hand in our game-changing app, or advertise your stock on quick, easy, buy it now listings to our eager buyers who are waiting to quickly acquire vehicles. What are you waiting for? Join Dealerway today at dealerway.co.uk and streamline your disposals. Right. So I think we should introduce this week's guest there. So this week's guest is the owner of Media Hawk, who and his company actually help car dealers track which marketing campaigns are driving phone calls, leads, and sales into their business. I'm really pleased to welcome the show, Mr. Harry Bott. Hi, Harry, mate. How's it going? You okay?
Yeah, really good. Lovely to meet you all, and I'm been really excited about coming along today. And actually, I'm just sort of adding a little bit to your market week. What's going on? Because we deal with both independent dealers and actually a lot of franchise dealers. One thing that we are really noticing is the new market starting to come in nicely, because and what I've always seen in my time in the market is when new market starts to pick up, it actually then starts to suppress used car sales. And February grew by 7% in new sales, and we're anticipating March to be a really good month for new sales. So it doesn't surprise me. There's some unbelievably good offers out there for new cars.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an independent dealer, you will probably want to start watching. There's almost a tipping point coming the other way towards people starting to go back into the new market. So if you aren't aware of that effect, I mean, some of the Chinese offers that you can get for cars, are really very, very impressive. So just be aware that might be one of the reasons why you're finding things are bumpy and lumpy.
Right. Maybe. I think my price bracket wouldn't come into that, but maybe yours, Scott. Yeah, maybe.
I think it's like if you had a Chinese, like one of these Chinese brands, it's like 25 grand. It's brand new and it's fully loaded, the latest kit and everything. Or you've got like a used Golf sat there for 25 grand. It just depends on the buyer and what they want, really. Because something like a Golf GTD or GTI or something like that, they're maybe more of a petrol head and they're not really into that. But I don't know, that might turn people's heads, might it?
Yeah. No. Anyway, just as an observation, but no, it's a real pleasure to be on the podcast, and I always love it when I bump into you in the trade and what we're doing. But as you say, we provide market analytics, and so I'm sure you're going to ask me what works, what doesn't work. But we deal with hundreds, if not 1,000 dealers where we're seeing the response to where their advertising is coming from, and then actually operationally how they perform. So we can really help them understand. Should I be on AutoTrader, or should I using Google vehicle ads, or where am I going to find my customers to keep that regular feed of customers coming in?
Mm-hmm.
And we can show two sides to that. One is what marketing channels actively work, but when they come in, are the dealers good at picking up the leads and then converting them to the level that they need to be converted at?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can be efficient and effective in managing your leads and be effective in managing the operations side, then you will both drive down your cost per lead, but and your cost per sale, which makes for a more efficient business.
Of course, yeah, it's important, especially in these times where there's a lot of talk in the motor trade about, I'm coming off AutoTrader, I'm downgrading my AutoTrader package, I'm trying motors, I'm trying car gurus, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I think a lot of the dealers sort of entering that headspace, or maybe so dialed in to just AutoTrader has always been, that's been the driver of that businesses. And then they think, oh, right, okay, I need to try something else. And then maybe he's not aware of, maybe previously a lot of that business might have already been coming from elsewhere. That they need to know, need to know those things. So I think you're very apt to come on at this sort of time, because I think it'll be a good watch for some dealers out there who are maybe thinking about changing or thinking of adding something. And so I mean, I'd like to pick your brains, and I'm sure Scott and Jamie would as well. I think I've seen some of Jamie's neurons firing there when you were talking.
Yeah. No, I absolutely put my brains. I mean, should we start with the elephant in the room, which is the AutoTrader question? Because I
think that would be the best place.
So I've always historically been, you're going to find this odd, a big fan of AutoTrader because it's historically worked really well. It's one of those really frustrating things. It's always been relatively expensive, and they've always put the prices up. But actually, it does deliver the lead. It's historically delivered the leads. But we've seen in the last 3 to 4 months, maybe longer, with all the changes they've made, actually they've sort of self-shot themselves in the foot, because the leads have definitely been much lower than they were historically. And what's been interesting to me about it is it's suddenly all the dealers have started talking to themselves. They're talking amongst themselves, especially on Facebook, etc. And it's opened up a whole, gosh, we can do other things and we can trial other areas. I mean, I love data, and I'll just give you a quick little bit of data which you might find quite interesting. In their report and accounts for the 6 months ended to September, they had on average 14,040 dealers. As of today, just before I came on the podcast, they've now got 12,035 dealers.
Wow. So
they've lost 2,005 dealers, and that doesn't take downgrades. Now, they say that on average their revenue is 2,900, and I think it's 60 per dealer. It's just over 2,900 anyway, and they report that to the city. And on an annualized basis, that means their revenue has gone down 72 million, which is about a 12% drop on an annualized basis, if those figures are correct.
Yeah.
That's just on dealers, not on downgrades of packages.
Yeah. That's just on dealers who are no longer who've left, gone. So it's not to do with downgrading. So I think that's really interesting. To me, that's really interesting. And if people are finding they're carrying on getting it, because there are other really good channels to generate response. And if your cost per lead is low, if you can save the money and put it into other areas and trial it and really understand what you're doing, you'll end up making more margin, which ultimately is what you as dealers want to be able to do, which is very exciting.
Yeah. What areas are you guys seeing that's working for other dealers at the moment?
So what really works, Google vehicle display ads.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're doing. My recommendation, don't try doing it yourself, is probably talk to an expert. There's a number of them out there. You need to have good quality data to do Google vehicle display ads, and you've got to have photographs. So if you're rubbish at photographing, you can't put those up on the adverts. And if you know what you're doing, then the click-through rate is not actually a lot. And then you can measure it out and see whether it goes into either a form fill, as in someone applies to a car, or they pick up the phone and ring you. So Google vehicle display ads are good. The other what I can call classified sites, so be it Motors, eBay, or whatever, one of those ones, they're very brand dependent. So they might work well on one brand, but not on another brand. So you've got to be really on top of measuring the skill sets. So, I mean, the three of you, I don't know, how do you measure the response in terms of how you're doing it? Because I can show you how how do you know where you're getting from your leads from at the moment?
We track ours through our DMS, but then we like per car, and then we've got tagging set up from like social media If you click on the social media, it takes you through like the ultimate the invoice if you can, or if it comes from AutoTrader or from the vehicle ads in Google, we track all that back. And then on top of that, we record as well on the system. The salesman always ask the customers, where they were from, and they understand it now. The salesman more than they had done ever like before previously, and like if it was AutoTrader, that they're even nailing down. What was your distance you searched on AutoTrader? Was it a national search or was it 50 miles radius of your house? So they're putting all that in the feed now for us to like get all that data back. So that's been interesting on what people actually search distance wise.
Yeah. And you can also at the end of each month, you can then look at actually how far people have gone on a postcode match from where you are, and then you can start targeting on that front. Yeah. But Jamie, how do you measure where your response is coming from?
We ask the customers. We do a bit of match data. A lot of them, there's overlap. They're all claiming, well, they came through. No, we sent you the lead. No, we sent you the lead. And then you ask the customers, and again, it still happens today, that customers will tell you that they found the car on AutoTrader because it's inherently inside people's brains. So there's a bit of that. Our website provider, 67 Degrees, send me a really good little shout out to 67 there. I hope I get a reduction.
They're a good mob.
Yeah, but I get a report, and it's really deep and I don't understand a word.
That report that they send you is Google Analytics reskinned with 67 Degrees on.
Okay, yeah. So again, and they offer me the time, and I always look at spend versus what we make profit. And again, I should be more analytical, and I would love at some point on this discussion today to say if we worked a percentage, 100% marketing spend, Harry, I would love you to say, right, 40% AutoTrader, 50. I'd like you to kind of what you believe, because you understand this more than the three of us, I'm sure, combined. I really know a lot. Hopefully, you can give us a steer as to what you think would be most effective.
Okay, so firstly, one of the problems with asking someone where they heard about it, it goes to the first drop-down box, which is always.
For sure. Always.
So I hate to say, asking people where they saw an advert is never reliable. So you need to start linking it on a digital perspective. And there's obviously you tag everything that you do if you can get your web provider to do that. So anyone who's clicking on a vehicle display ad, it'll do it. AutoTrader, they should be able to see the links in from AutoTrader. AutoTrader shot themselves in the foot. They used to deep link into stock itself. They now they link to the homepage, which breaks the customer journey. And historically, when they deep link, they would give 15% more leads because someone would see an ad, bookmark it, and then ring or whatever. But ultimately, the lead came from AutoTrader. But because they no longer deep link for dealers, they've dropped the lead. The amount of extra leads have dropped quite significantly, we've found. So you need to tag everything, and then using also with phone calls, if you have different numbers in your different media, you can actually see where the calls are coming from your different media as well. And then you can then also analyze the phone calls, because you can put speech recognition onto phone calls to see whether they actually got through to a salesperson. So you can understand your wastage on there. Now, if I was to then sit there and say, right, how would look at my perfect pie? Firstly, I'd say I need to make sure I've got a measurement system so I actually can feel confident in that and understand what that measurement system's saying to me. Once I understand that, the key areas you need to look at: Google Business Profile. How much do you pay attention to your Google Business Profile?
A lot.
It'll generate 50 to 60% of all your phone calls come from there, because once they know your brand, they type it in and they pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Between 5 to 10%, if you're not tagging your Google Business Profile into your website, make sure you're tagging that, and you'll find between 5 to 10% of all of your clicks come from your Google Business Profile. So it is one of the most, it is your virtual window to the world, and it's remarkable how some dealers don't take it as serious as they should do.
Yeah.
So there's a reputation management piece going on. Scott, I know we've talked about this, and you're good at that. But if you're a dealer that's below 4.5 on your average, you've got to get it up there, because what is changing, and we're seeing this more and more, what is changing is this concept of zero-click search. Do you all know what zero-click search is, or shall I give you a quick
Go on then.
description?
Yeah, go on.
I'm making notes here, Harry. This is mint. Honestly, man.
So zero-click search is the big thing that everyone's is scaring the bejesus everyone, and that's partly what they're saying why the AutoTrader tries to come out. Now that we have AI, people can get the answer straight away, and they don't need to click to your website. So everyone is naturally seeing the amount of clicks coming onto their websites are coming off. So it's becoming more and more important that you manage where you're likely to get the leads to get them onto your website. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, if someone's doing an AI search and they type in, I don't know, golf GDI or TDI or whatever, you want to make sure that it's going to try and pick you up in a local environment. So what Google will do, and these other areas are going to start doing, is they want to, first thing, they'll look at your reviews. And if you're below 4.5%, 4.5 is an average, and you haven't, then you will not be being picked up, because it's about reputation.
Yeah.
So reputation is a critical part of one's role within it. So Google Business Profile, I always say, start with that. It's reputation management, and also, dare I say it, and for anyone who's thinking of selling their dealership, you will lose value by having a low reputation score.
Yeah, of course. Harry, does that count for all like these large language models like ChatGPT and Claude?
Yeah,
so do they all search Google's reviews?
Oh yeah, but they're picking up reviews from everywhere.
From everywhere. Yeah.
The other one that's very interesting, and I'm just getting my head around it. I was talking to someone the other day. I hadn't realised, but Safari now represents 30% of search.
30.
Which is Apple. 30 apparently. I was in with
yeah,
the
well,
leadership.
I could see that because obviously it's installed as default browser on everyone's iPhone, isn't it? That's
absolutely, and it's an area that I'm trying to get my head around. But if that is 30% again, it's probably not something we never pay any attention to, but we ought to. And then the other one that's very interesting is historically Microsoft has been about 5 to 10% of it
with Bing
on their browser, but Bing, which was called Bing, but they now call themselves Microsoft Advertising. Interestingly, because they've got ChatGPT behind them, we are noticing it. They're nibbling quite fast into Google. And what's interesting about Microsoft is they're the default browser on a lot of laptops, etc.
Yeah.
And we see that it's good for an elderly population. So again, because the advertising basis of Microsoft is a pig, and agencies hate having to set it up, it's quite a nice little place to go and spend a bit of your advertising. Because I say to my customers, actually, what you want to do is, on the 80-20 principle, you have 80% set on your core areas, be it AutoTrader. We're going to come back to AutoTrader, Google Vehicle Ads, etc. And then 20% is what I call playtime, where you trial things, play around with this. I don't know, put up some farm media and see, God, has that done something? And Microsoft, again, is one of those ones that gets about 5 to 10% of your clicks will come from Microsoft now. And you can advertise into it. It's much cheaper, and you'll find a different audience there.
Yeah.
What we're all about finding audience, it's about where do you go fishing, where the fish are. And so in car terms, where do I want to sell my car? Where someone's looking to buy a car.
Yeah.
Now, historically, you've got AutoTrader. And now with zero-click search and AI and Google Vehicle Ads, I literally will type in, I'm looking for, as I say, my Golf TDI. And if I see a load of nice ones and they look roughly in my price point, I'll go into them. We need to, one of the things that I think is really important is customers do about 160 to 170 interactions before they pick up the phone to a dealer.
And
one of the problems, one of the things I love saying this to my customers, and one of the problems we face is, when was the last time any of you bought a car not through the trade?
Never.
Oh.
Yeah, never really.
Oh, didn't you buy that Range Rover from? Sure, you bought one of your personal cars through the trade, didn't you?
Well, my car, I've got them in. But I wasn't through the trade. I bought it from a dealer.
Ah, well, that's what
as trade though.
Yeah, no, but
yeah,
so
but you bought
it
retail though, didn't you?
Yeah, it was brand new.
That's what he's saying.
I
Yeah,
got it.
that's what he's asking.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The point I'm making is that you don't buy your product.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges dealers face is that because you don't buy your product, you don't go through the process. I buy cars, and the process I go through. So a lot of dealers aren't aware of the product process we go through to get to you. So if you can get your head around the process, you can then go back to my fishing analogy. You can say, where do I go fishing? You'll say, well, where is someone in the process? Now, so by the time I come to you at the end, I'm pretty well decided where I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I know a lot about my car. I always say to dealers, if someone makes the effort to walk onto your forecourt, the question you should ask at the end of every day is, why did they not buy off us?
Yeah.
And so one of the things I would be doing if I was running a dealership is say at the end of every day, we had 15 walk-ins. How many did we sell? Who were the 5 walk-ins? And why did they walk off the pitch and we didn't get them to convert? So if I can do all my research before I come to you, I can see all the cars. I've narrowed myself down to 3 or 4 cars, and then I've got down and down and down. I pick up the phone, I ring you, or I send an email saying, is that still available? Blah, blah. I come in. If you haven't converted me, what have we done wrong? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We do that. We have a log when we log the walk-ins, and then Stu, because you could say to the salesman, why didn't they buy the car? And the salesman says, they were messers, or whatever, or the part exchange or whatever. So Stu will actually ring the people who've actually walked and said, was there a problem? Did you get? Was it not enough money for your part exchange or whatever? And then to have one last go at trying to hook them in, because they're there for a reason. They're in the market to buy a car. They're not there for lunch. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Then, but what's changed is the window of opportunity, in the sense they've done all their research before they get to you, and when they're in the window of opportunity, they're going to buy quickly and efficiently, and they want to be treated like rock stars. That's the other thing that we also see in the trade is I find independent dealers are much better than franchise dealers. Is they don't give what I call rock star management. If I was going to say to 3 of you, if you were to spend £20,000 of your hard-earned money, how do you like to be treated?
Well,
yeah, like royalty,
like absolute royalty. Actually, even if you're a student, you're spending £1,000, you want to be treated like royalty.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. We find, because with our customers, we can analyze the sales, wash them through, and say where they came from. We can see how many missed calls on dealers. On average, about 40% of their calls never make it onto their lead management system. 20% never even get answered. And so someone wants to spend £20,000 of their hard-earned money, and they can't even get into the dealership. So part of what I do, and I work with our customers and stuff, is just get them to understand the process. It's not often a marketing challenge. We can get you the leads. Is actually you blowing them up when they come across into you.
Yeah. Harry, you might be able to help me with you mentioned before about do you know where your leads come from? We my business is a little bit different to both Scott and Jamie's, and we don't advertise on AutoTrader. We don't advertise on Motors or Car Gurus or any of the big ones. We advertise heavily on Meta and on Google with paid ads. And we advertise finance is it's finance first, really. We're generating volumes of finance applications and trying to turn those applications into approvals, turn the approvals into car sales. Now we use AutoConvert as sort of a mini CRM system for that, and obviously to propose the finance applications. Now AutoConvert is really good at certain things, not at others, but what it does do, all of our data from our marketing campaigns is all set up with UTM tags and parameters, so it feeds in AutoConvert. But the problem with AutoConvert is it's last click attribution. So it only tells you where the last click came from, not where the first or the middle or wherever. So we'll get a lot of I literally know where every single lead came from the last click. But what it's too wishy-washy for me, it might say that all that leads came from Google. And we'll have a load of leads that have come from Google, but I really know that a lot of them have come from Facebook because we spend a lot more money on Facebook than we do Google. So people have probably seen we're 100 times on Facebook and then thought, oh, really easy car credit, right? I'm going to Google them, and they've Googled it, and then that last click through the website, pick the apply form or the ring the number, and that's where it shows up come from. How do you battle that?
We have the tools that we can see. We can do variant attribution variance.
Right.
One of the things, what I will say is, we find a lot that social media doesn't necessarily. It gets you a lot of clicks. It doesn't actually get you a lot of conversions.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with that. I mean, our conversion rate from somebody filling out a finance application form to actually selling them a car is like 5%.
Yeah,
but which is actually quite high, like in comparison to a lot. But it's extremely low if you sort of look at it like that.
But that goes back to the point. When one's on social media, are you sitting there thinking about I want finance?
No.
Or it just has to pop up and say, oh, I need. And whereas on Google, you're actively in the intent mode to do a thing, be it finance or buy a car or buy your a computer or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We use Google, etc., with which to do much more things we want to do that we're worrying about. Social media, it falls into you. So we find that social media, actually, you get a lot of clicks, but they don't necessarily convert in the same way as Google.
No,
so
I agree. Yeah.
The big challenge is actually, social media is what I call managing director sexy. One loves to see oneself being advertised at, but you're not A, necessarily the target audience, and B, you maybe don't need to be spending on it, but you think it's good because you play with social media yourself, and therefore you think it's working. But that might not be the audience you're after, and it might not be the valuable audience that you want.
I mean, definitely for us, it 100% works. I mean, it's ran our business for 12 years. It's like we up until the last couple of years, we weren't spending on Google. It was simply social media. So every sale that we ever got was from social media. So our target audience is maybe different from Scott's and Jamie's, and I know they're on social media. So it does actually work. But you're right in your point. What you say is, when someone's scrolling on their feed on TikTok or Facebook, that they're thinking about cat pictures and dogs and pictures of their aunties and blah blah blah. They're not necessarily thinking about buying a car. But we're trying to interrupt that feed. And obviously, a lot of the retargeting stuff works when they've searched stuff on Google. They might be in the market for a car, and then we show them an ad for a car, and it might pique their interest. It definitely has its place. I mean, it works for us. But yeah, it's interesting though. It's interesting. But
where I think is incredibly valuable is on social media, particularly Facebook. Do you do retargeting based around their mobile phone numbers and getting similar audiences?
Yes, I think we've tested that over the years. Yes, I'm not sure we're still doing that now.
Yeah, because that's good. That's good. It's trying to find similar audiences by using mobile phones. For those who aren't aware what we're talking about, if we're getting into some real detail, if you're watching this, is one of the reasons Facebook and the other ones want you to say we need your mobile is so that you can get back onto it if something goes wrong and we can get in touch with you. The reality is, if you can upload spreadsheets with that of all your sales which have got mobiles on, they'll go and find you similar audiences like their friends who you've sold a car to. So you can do some matching based on mobile phone numbers, and that can be very powerful and very targeted in terms of who you're trying to achieve. So sorry, I just give a little explainer for anyone who wasn't aware what we're talking about, because we're that in the quite in detailed on some of the stuff you can do. But you're absolutely right. Social media does work, but people can also spend a great deal on social media and blow a lot of clicks. So clicks of vanity, conversions of sanity.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is what is what we find, which is why going back to Jamie, going back to that original question, where would I spend my money?
Yes,
I've got 80% that I want to spend on my firm things.
Yeah,
and I absolutely would have. Until I can prove I didn't want it in the mix, I would have AutoTrader in the mix. I wouldn't be worrying about pushing myself up the pyramids, but I know how many phone calls I've got, what my conversion rates on those phone calls. Are we just not picking up the phone call? I would see how many form fills I'm getting. I'd be talking to my account manager and saying, you've got to let me deep link because that'll give you more benefit and then I'll get more return. And then I was saying, right, what is my cost per lead? And then at the end of each month, I would then, because I know the telephone number, I know the form fill, did I then convert that person? So I know my cost per lead and my cost per sale.
Can I ask you? Sorry.
Yeah. Go shoot.
Sorry,
Jamie.
I really want to talk to you about AutoTrader. Carry on, finish what you were saying, because I just want to ask you some things about AutoTrader, and I think you can have really, really good insight on what's happened. And sorry, I've started saying it. I'm just going to ask you now. I'm just sat here thinking, I want to ask it. You're saying that you've seen AutoTrader's leads drop to dealers. So we felt it, but then you have that herd mentality. Everyone's in a group bitching and moaning and saying, my leads are down, my leads are down, my leads are down. And you're kind of thinking, is it just what everybody's saying? You're saying you have physically seen data through what you're doing that is categorical to say the number of leads on AutoTrader is down across the board.
Over about the last 6 months. Okay. Since they asked people to log in, put in some of the things.
Right.
Yes,
this is okay. So, as a business that they have, what's the end game for them? They've now changed their system to get people to log in, and it's decreased the amount of leads. Dealers are leaving in the droves. Share price is tanking. They're a big business. What do they do? Like, what is making everybody log in the step to the next game, or like what do you see AutoTrader's business? How do you see it going? How do you see AI affecting it? What's going to happen to AutoTrader, man? Just what do you think, Harry? Fascinated to know.
It's a difficult one because I know a lot of the team there, and I as a product, it's actually a bloody good product. Yeah. But recently. Some of the decisions they've made with which to get further down the value chain have meant that they've made the cost of the lead to a level that people have questioned why they should be using the product. So it's a bloody good product. And I really like AutoTrader, and it does what it said, has historically does what it said on the tin. But they've made so many changes to go into further into the value chain that actually they've destroyed they've lowered the level of leads has lowered to a level that quite rightly everyone is questioning why they should be on it. So the reality is I probably shouldn't say this because some of the people I know, a lot of the senior people, and they're not going to love me for saying this, they shouldn't be so bloody cloth-eared. That's the reality, because they've got a great I hate to say it, they've got a really good product, and they do deliver leads historically. They really do deliver leads. And
that's with AutoTrader. You pay. It's an easy way. Like, I've always thought AutoTrader was like, you get what you pay for. Yes, you got to pay a premium, but you're going to get a load of quality leads, and you're going to sell a load of cars off it, and you just have to pay for the privilege of it. My views are, and I know people at AutoTrader. There's some brilliant people at AutoTrader. Like, nobody wants to see people lose their jobs or businesses collapse, anything like that. Nobody wants to see that. But for me, it's just greed has taken them down this road. And I feel now that, but again, what do I know? I feel they can't turn back now. I feel this path that they're going down is, and we are now, the genie's out of the bottle. People are realizing that they don't have to pay ever increasing sums of money for these leads, and their model now is done. Like, they will never.
No, I'm going to say, Jamie, their model isn't done. There's a couple. Let's look at them from
their model of being able to charge an extra 8% every year, and dealers are just going to say, "Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to pay it. Keep giving me what you're giving me." Because
so what I would say, one of the problems they've got is let's look at them from a city perspective. So let's just avoid how they deliver for dealers. From a city perspective, they has always been seen as a growth stock who are involved in technology with the most wonderful margins. If you've got a right technology business, you have very high margins. It's just the nature of the beast. And they've had historically very high margins. What is going on at the moment, I believe, is at some stage the city are going to re-rate them and say this is no longer a growth stock. It is a mature business. Now, mature business work on a price earnings ratio between 5 to 10. They've historically been up, say, on the 20s to 30s. So that says their market capitalization will come down and they have to give out large dividends. And they'll find their margins start to get squeezed as some of the things that are going on. So the challenge I would suggest is two challenges they've got. One is their face in front of the city, as in we aren't necessarily a growth stock. We can't keep going to the city saying we're going to go up by 5% every 6 months or a year, because we know what's happened since they put up by 5%. We've seen how many people they find it's the straw has broken the camel's back.
Yes.
So they're going to. My view is, and again, it's a really good product and they're really lovely people. My view is they're going to have someone somewhere is going to have to say we need to roll back from where we've been and reset. And if they reset, we're more logical with how they're dealing with dealers. I think they will get people back because they deliver leads and they do it. And as long as the cost per lead is right. But if you're getting, I don't know what the margin you're making in your cars, but let's say between 1,000 to 2,000 GPU. If it's gone from a cost per lead of say 30 to 40 quid, we're seeing it now up at the 100 quid. And the cost per sale's gone from say 200 to 300 up to 600 to 700, and you're doing a GPU of 1,000, you can't survive because you've still got to turn your lights on. So they've forgotten how it's a bit like tax. Tax is acceptable, plucking the golden goose. Tax is acceptable as long as there's something at the end of the day that I can put some food on the table. But if you are a primary supplier of customers, but you're taking so much of my margin, I can't physically turn my lights on. Something has to give. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What's crazy for me about AutoTrader is obviously they've got some very intelligent people working there.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how somebody from, higher up hasn't sat back and looked at it and thought, we can make this so easy for ourselves. Like if they were just to think, right, let's just revert back, like you said, Harry, and literally think, what are these dealers, upset about? Let's just give them what they want. Let's give them what they want, what they're asking for. And I get that it's a two-sided thing because they need to look after the customers and what the customers expect from a digital marketplace, etc., etc. Yes, I do. But I just think if you can make the dealers happy in the first place and then work together with the dealers, I think if they were to start some sort of guerrilla marketing campaign just to dealers to say, look, hold our hands up, we realise we're a bunch of tossers, we've absolutely fucked this up, we're going to change, we're going to cut your bills, we're going to get rid of the deal builder crap, we're going to listen to you, we're going to do this, that and to that, please come back, tail between my legs, this is us, I'm really sorry, and made like a funny marketing campaign where it took the mick out of themselves or something. I think they could instantly get the dealers on side and then just get back to the way it was. They've went too far the other way, that too far looking into, going back to your question earlier, Harry, asking, when was the last time you bought a car from a dealer? I haven't, but I've had a look at AutoTrader recently, and it shocked me going on AutoTrader's homepage. Everywhere you look is leasing. Because obviously they bought Vanarama, and it's like they've lost sight of who the customer is, and the customer evidently is a dealer. Well, they're two customers. They've got dealers and the public, but and now that they're sort of pushing, when all these dealers are paying thousands and thousands of pounds, who've been with them for years and years and years, and they're paying them out every single month, and then they're pushing their own product in front of those dealers that have helped get them there. And it's just like, who have they got running this company? What are you thinking? Like,
well, the issue you've got, go back to my point about the city. If you've got share options that makes you a multi-millionaire, that you've got to get your share price up on your growth stock, but you're at this existential issue that says I'm no longer a growth stock and I'll go underwater on my share options. Mm-hmm. You can see at a senior management level, you probably got quite a challenge, because if you go around and say to dealers, look, mea culpa, we've got it wrong. Let's get it right. We will want to really understand your cost per lead, cost per sale, The implication is they can't keep putting the prices up to the level they have been. And that therefore says you are a mature business. You're no longer a growth business.
Yeah, but there's only so far that they can do that anyway. So no matter which way they turn, they're not going to be able to continually do that. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not address the issue now?
Are you saying, Harry, though, that these senior management are so financially entrenched in the success of the business that they always have to double down on these bad decisions? Because if they stick their hands up, what they've got is then going to be halved or a quartered because the share price is going to collapse. So maybe you've got people who are so financially invested that they have to, like, they're in the Titanic. They can see the iceberg. They're like, we're not turning.
But they can't
if
jump
we
off
turn,
the ship. Yeah.
if we turn, I'm going to lose loads of money. So they just keep going and they're pushing on. Or
Look, I've got no proof, but let's put it this way: if I was a senior manager in AutoTrader and I had £500,000 worth of options, and their price is now 10% below what it was 5 years ago, what I thought I had was £500,000, and they're now at 250 or less. I can see why I desperately need to try and push it the other way.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we're all logical human beings as trying to do right for our organisations. Don't get us wrong. But actually within what we're trying to do. And I, if you look at the scale of which it's reduced its share price, I think decisions in large corporates, having been in a large corporate myself, are not necessarily logical to where they sit with their customer base and what they're trying to do because of what they're responding to, pension funds, etc. And I think the dealers made me underestimate the importance of that in why they're making this. I would anticipate, I've got no proof of it, but if I was sitting as a senior manager, that's why I can't at the moment. The big crunch point is going to come for them in when they do their next 6-month update, which is they do it to September. So when they do March, which will be April, May, that's when the true scale of what's happening will come out in terms of what's that done to their revenue model.
And going back to what Jamie asked before, Harry, don't know if you picked up on it or not, but what do you see them doing? In 6 months' time, do you see them making any pivot, or do you see them trying to bring out some sort of new product to change things? Like, where do you think AutoTrader is going to be in 2-3 years?
My view is, I think AI will affect them, but they're going to affect everybody. I mean, that's what everyone's saying. AI is affecting businesses in ways that we don't understand. I think they're a good business. I think they will still be here in 2 or 3 years, but I would be surprised if some of the products that they're taking them further into the value chain are still here in 6 months' time. I've got, as I say, I know quite a lot of the senior management, and they're probably, if they watch this podcast, are going to sit there and say that's not what we want to hear. But I want to be completely honest as I see it from the outside. I just can't understand why there's a requirement to get further and further into the value chain, which is your bread and butter. I can completely see that I can provide products that I might sell you up on, like pricing products and selling B2B media. I mean, they've got huge reams of valuable data that they could be selling much more to manufacturers. There are other revenue streams that they could be growing, not at the behest of their basic customer base. And so there's a lot of other stuff I think they could get revenue which wouldn't affect the dealer core.
Do you think like the way we search for cars, so at the minute still, and I often think that our searches skew the amount of searches that are on AutoTrader, because if you advertise on AutoTrader, you spend a lot of time on AutoTrader. I spend a lot of time searching on AutoTrader as well. So I often think us as dealers probably don't help ourselves because we overinflate the number of searches that are on there. But do you think we're going to be, as consumers, although we're not consumers, but consumers, going to still be looking on a classified site in 2 or 3 years if we've got some form of AI where we can just say, this is what I want, find me the best ones within a 40-mile radius, show them to me on my screen, and go from there? So are people even going to use AutoTrader? Is it, that's my thought process. And then
I think yes, because AutoTrader will change it. Let's take it back to its really basic function. What does a classified site do? They provide you with an audience. So it's all about where our audience is going to be. You pay to buy audiences. That's all you're doing with when you're spending money. I'm buying audiences. My point about where do I fish, where the fish are. And AutoTrader have got a really good audience. They've actually got a really good product. And yes, you're right. I might type in, I want a GTI. But actually, the reality is, go back to my 160, 170 data points. I sit there thinking I want my Golf GTI. And then I go and look round and I look at all the GTI and I start working out what's my price point and how far I'm going to go. And then I look at that. Then suddenly I might be served an advert for JQ, all tech up. It's cheaper than the price point because I've got to pay 10% to go into my local used car dealer as opposed to 0% finance for my JQ. And bingo, I'm off somewhere else. And AutoTrader is really good at giving you that sense of I'm looking at one sort of stuff, but I could start looking at that. They're very good at moving you around the journey, and I don't believe I will outsource that 100% to AI. I might ask AI, and it might come up with a list of cars, but I'll sit there and say, well, what about the next lot of cars or that lot of cars? And then I've got to go and find out that site that I put them on. It's nicely in a nice garden that we understand, know how to use. And so they've got a strong position, and I don't think AI's in the next 3 years will kill them as quickly as people are saying. I generally don't think it will, because the way you look at it, and as long as they can keep on top of that, I do think they'll be around. I just think they need to be more sensitive about what's their position in the value chain. As you said, if they've got a leasing business and they're trying to put all the leases in their leasing business, and if they've outsourced their finance to a finance company who then keeps ringing you guys up and said, I've got a deal here for you, and you're quite rightly sitting there going, well, who's got the risk? You, AutoTrader, because you're getting some margin, or me because I've got to accept your shitty terms. You can see why that they're too far into the value chain, is my view.
I can see a world, where, like, say, Claude. I don't know if any of you use Claude, but I've been using Claude recently, and I think it blows ChatGPT away, some of the functionalities that it does. And it works with various plugins, and they call them skills and what have you. And I can see a world where some of these big chatbots, AI companies, are developing plugins. So, like, you might have a car sales plugin. So you then sell some sort of small advertising space to car dealers. So you load your feed into ChatGPT, or you load your feed into Claude, and you completely cut out an AutoTrader. So when a customer's looking for a car, they use ChatGPT, or they use Grok, or they use Claude, or they use insert LLM, whichever one that's on their phone, and it's just talk to that chatbot about, I'm thinking about buying a car, and ask them a couple of questions. But what do you want? That knows everything about them anyway, where they live, how many kids they've got, what their income is, all the rest of it, and it serves them one of your adverts or one of your cars. I can see that world coming into effect sooner rather than later.
And that's called Google Vehicle Display Ads, in terms of, if I can call it, AI 1.0. I mean, Google Vehicle Display Ads is effectively, Stephen, doing what you're saying. That is what Google Vehicle is. It's AI 1.0.
Yeah, but I think AI 2.5 or 3.0 will look totally different. I think Google are at risk, if they don't win the AI war, like, having the dominance that they've had of being the default search for everyone's search, haven't they? And I think a lot's going to change. But I think businesses like AutoTrader, I'm not just talking in the motor trade, I'm talking about every sector. I can honestly see some of these chatbots just becoming everybody's hub. And you have one app. You have one app that you use every day, and it's a chatbot. It's your personal chatbot, and it knows everything about you. And then every other, insert Amazon, insert Go Fresh, insert, anything you think of, clothes shop, Top Man, whatever. It just serves, I'm looking for this. All right. What about this? What about that? What about this? I don't like that. Why do you not like that? Because it's black. All right. Well, I'll not show you any more black ones. I can see that, me personally, and I think
absolutely. But where does that leave you as car dealers? Well, the exciting thing is the most important principle I always think with car dealers is buy it right, sell it right.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So ultimately, we can talk about AutoTrader taking more or less margin, or other forms taking more or less margin. If you bought the car at the right price in the right first place, you're in a lot stronger position, because you can see where you sit in the marketplace. But that's exciting. So you'll be able to use AI with which to source stock properly and be efficient. And then the ultimate thing is that you got to give bloody good service and be really charming, and and non-franchise dealers, like you lot, that's part of what your office is all around. Ultimately, people don't buy cars on price. They buy it on how they're dealt with and looked after. Go back to my point. If I spent £20,000 of my hard-earned money, and I can spend it with you, and maybe you're 100 quid more expensive or lesser, if you answer the phone, you're charming to me, you've got good manners, and you go out of your way to anticipate my needs and be lovely to me, I'm likely to buy it off you, and I'll pay 200 or 300 quid more.
Yeah, it's the age old saying, and Harry, talking about AI, as great as AI is going to be and all the rest of it, people buy from people at the end of the day still, and that'll always be the thing.
Never forget, AI is going to do that. It's going to provide the audience, but someone's still got to either fill in a form or pick up the phone.
Yeah.
AI is not going to physically walk in. It might fill in the form for you, but it's still got to connect you, the human being. Me, I want to buy my car off you, Scott, you, Jamie. I've still got to be connected by AI, whether they fill in the form, so I don't even have to do that. I don't care. Whether they actually pick up the call and phone you. Ultimately, I've still got to turn up. Even though I don't turn up, so you've got to deliver it to them. There's a human-to-human transaction going on in there. And that, if you as dealers can get your head around that. But coming back, and you can get your head, you will survive, and it's going to be an exciting period. But how it changes, my hypothesis, which I said to you, is marketing is about you spend money where you buy audiences. So all you're doing is you're buying audiences. And how those audiences are going to change is really interesting. And as I said to you earlier, we talked about zero-click search. That's changed. We talked about Safari. That we're seeing that's now coming up. So Google is no longer the preeminent. It's still 50 to 60% of search. We've been talking about, the wobbles that AutoTrader are going through. But the sharp dealers are ones who are A, measuring this, and then B, more importantly, saying, with my 20% of my 20% of my marketing spend, where do I play to try and find those extra people, those audiences? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Harry, if dealers, sorry, Jimmy, if dealers were watching this, and obviously they're interested in everything that you've got to say, can you just, pitch us your company? How can MediaHawk help a car dealer? What is it you do to help?
Well, that's very sweet of you. I always get embarrassed to come onto a podcast and talk too much. I'm trying to give, achieving my experience of 24 years of helping dealers do it. But MediaHawk, we call ourselves a marketing analytics company who are bloody good at phone calls. So we provide our customers with different telephone numbers for their media, and then we provide them with the tools when they're tagging, say, on adverts, etc., to see where the response comes from. And then once they see where the response comes from, because we can put speech AI onto it, we can actually transcribe every phone call. We can see if it gets onto CRM systems, and try and do that digitally, link that together, so that Jamie, when you're sitting there scratching your head and going, there's a lot of data. What to do? Hopefully, we can give you something that gives you an outline of what is or isn't working, so that you can make informed decisions about your marketing spend to be more effective and try and drive out your cost per lead and your cost per sale. Because all I'm if my view is, I've always had a basic philosophy: if the more money my customers I can help them make, the more they won't question what we do to help them, if that makes sense. And so my job is to try and help people make more profit per unit.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give you a call after the pod, actually. So
then that's what we do. But I mean, overall it's really exciting times. I mean, one of the things I love about the trade is it's incredibly adaptable and incredibly robust, which I love. And once, I'm going to be very rude about you, Scott, Jamie, forgive me for saying this, but someone once said to me that car dealers are like cockroaches. And I told this to a guy, and I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, it's simple." He said, "At the end of the world, the only thing left standing will be a cockroach in a car dealer."
Cockroach in a car dealer.
Because I love the trade, because you lot are so adaptable, and
resilient.
And
resilience, aren't we, man?
And the entrepreneurship that you have, and the risks you take by, every week you buy another car, you're putting your personal balance sheets, most of you, on the line, with which to take not a very big margin. So you're buying a car for, say, £30,000 to sell for £34,000. That's not a lot of money if things go wrong, is it?
And they do go wrong,
And yet-
Harry. They do go wrong.
Yeah.
Very quick one, man, because
Yeah.
fascinating some of the things you're talking about. Honestly, I feel like I'd talk to you all day. How did you get in the trade? You say 24 years. So that's 2001. So you get in the trade after me. I've been in the trade since 2000, man. What?
I'm an old bugger, so I'll give you my quick CV. It's my first proper job. I used to work for a mining company called BHP, the largest mining company in Australia, and I am the man. You're going to hate me for saying this. I am the man who sold coal to Newcastle. I used to sell 1.5 million tons of coal out of Australia into Redcar Steelworks.
Right.
And so I used to be in commodities, and then I did an MBA, and then I set up MediaHawk. I went into a bit of in media sales, and I set up some websites in the first .com boom, and then I set up MediaHawk 24 years ago. And we're big in the car. We've got a lot of car customers, some big name brands, and big dealer, about 20% of the AM100 users. And we've also got a lot of healthcare businesses and some big financial services companies, travel. So we get to see response across a lot of spaces. But I head up the automotive side, and I absolutely love it. I just, I love what you lot do as dealers. I mean, take my hat off to all of you. You work bloody hard. You're taking risk on a daily basis, and you're spending a lot of money with which to keep that wheel turning. It's very, very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, we feel your pain. We feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally true. Totally true. I think there's just nothing like it, is there? There's nothing else like it. It's just mad. It's the only job in the world I know where I can wake up and, in the morning, I look at my phone, a text message, and I'm like, oh, just another $2,500 gone. There's a car broke down somewhere and it needs a gearbox. It's like, oh, I haven't even got out of bed,
Yeah.
It's funny what you say about sorry. It's about your balance sheet. Like you're buying cars. Like my entire net worth is sat out there, and they're all ticking time bombs. Yeah, I got a bit of equity in my house, but other than that, it's all out there. And you're right. Every week I go to auction and I lay my entire net worth almost like on the line, buying these cars that have got histories, sometimes one key, no V5. You don't know who's owned them. They're making weird noises. And you're right. Like we're just doing it. It's ludicrous. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
But you're really exciting, fun, interesting, having amazing lives. It's really good.
I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that all the time, but it is exciting. I think one of the things I find most compelling about what we do is that it's probably the risk and probably that slight living dangerously, because it is risky what we do. There is, I think, significantly safer bets that we could be taking as business people, and we're not, are we?
Well, Jamie, we all know somebody who's been flying in the trade, and then all of a sudden they've lost it all. They've got nothing left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know. Yeah. Well, yeah. We all know those people.
Doing it myself. It's
so can go the other way.
Which goes back to that basic principle: buy it right, sell it right, and make sure you don't spend too much on your marketing. You want to spend your marketing, but they're not taking too much of your GPU out of you.
Harry, if you could give any dealer watching this show any bit of advice, marketing at this very moment, who's thinking about coming off AutoTrader, came off AutoTrader, wants to increase their spends, what would it be?
It would be review your Google Business Profile to make sure you're getting decent scores. It's all linked into your website. Make sure you've got a really good website that responds quickly and efficiently. All your images are up to date, and then go and start looking at things like Google Vehicle Display Ads, because you can turn them on and off as they go. And once you understand your marketing that you're doing outside of, if you're going away from AutoTrader, actually every lead that's come in, how are we performing on those? Because often if I can tighten the performance of my sales teams, actually I don't worry if I get fewer leads in.
Great stuff. Harry, I'd like to thank you for coming on today. I could
Thank you,
actually
yeah.
sit and listen to you all day because I love all that stuff, and you're very interesting, very obviously very knowledgeable. Would love to ask you to come back on maybe in 6 months' time, a year's time, and,
I'd love
and
to.
see how things have changed in the industry, and get your thoughts.
Happy, I would absolutely. And Scott, as I said, when you've created your Geordie AI, which is YI, you can you can let me know how that's taking over the world.
Yeah.
Let's get Harry.
We're rebranding up Dealerway, Dealerway.
Dealerway.
Let's get Harry back on when the results come through. When AutoTrader's results come through, and you can break them down for us, man. You know loads more about this stuff. You can analyze them.
The critical point for AutoTrader will be they did September results and they came out on the 6th of November. I mean, you can go and look at them. They're in the public domain. So September goes round to March. So it'll be 2 months after March. It'll be really interesting to see what that says. And that will give you a real sense of where they're going and what has happened to them as a business. At the moment, not that they're in purdah, it's very difficult to tell what is actually happening apart from those numbers that I'm a data wonk, I can see on the internet.
Is that, you mentioned earlier that the numbers on AutoTrader, the dealers have dropped to around 12,000. Is there data out there which says how many they're losing out on? So how many dealers are in the UK who don't have the stock on AutoTrader? Is there any kind of data which would say that?
I don't know how many dealers there are in the UK. I don't know. I can't remember. There'll be someone somewhere will have that figure.
I think it'll be around 20,000 or something.
20,000.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, that kind of volume.
It's more the public drop of what they said in September to what they're saying on their website. You can actually type in how many dealers are on AutoTrader, and they say we have currently, and it changes on a daily basis. And that drop is around 2,000 from when they publicly announced the average of the September period.
Well, what do you guys think? Are you still on AutoTrader? Leave a comment below. Let us know what you're doing with your marketing. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Really nice meeting you all, guys.
You too.
Thanks, Harry.
See you guys.
Bye.
Brilliant, man.